So you start the proxy now.
Okay, so now if you look at the application, as such, if we divide the flow into various transactions, the first transaction is JPEG Store landing page. Then the second transaction is going to the categories page. Third transaction is going to a particular products page. And fourth transaction is going to a particular items page, right? And the fifth transaction is adding to a cart. So we have these many transactions. So what we do is, so before we could even start the recording process, what we would do is, for the because we need to separate these things into various transactions. What I do is, I create something called as controllers. So you just go to workbench, then you have something called as add. You go to logic controller. Here you have something called as simple controller. If you look at other commercial tools, they would call them as transactions or containers. But here they call it as simple controller. So you add a controller, give a name to it, a logical name with which everybody can easily identify. So now I want to go to the landing page. So I would say JPEG Store landing page. JPEG Store landing page. This is going to be the first container. Then next, one more container. This is going to be sign in page. Sign hyphen in page. Sorry, yeah, no, the categories page. Categories page. Then we have another container, another controller, simple controller called products page. Products page. Then next thing is the items page. So sorry, add logic controller, simple controller, items page. Then finally the add to cart page. I have something called another controller where I say add to cart. Right, now we have defined the transactions, or whatever you say. In JMeter's terminology, we call that as controllers. Right, so what I do is, now I start recording, I go to the JPEG Store landing page. Right, so now if you come to the thing, this request has been saved like this. So what I do is, I drag it and put it to the JPEG landing page as a child. See, next one, maybe if I'm doing the next one, you would understand it more better. What I do is, now I go to the enter the store, that is to the categories page. So once I enter the categories page, I see a request here. So what I do is, I drag it and then I drop it onto this as a child. So this will have the request for the categories page. Similarly, the next one, maybe now I want to go to the products page of dogs. So I click this. Now if you look at this one, you would see this request coming up here. I would drag it and drop it onto the products page. Similarly, now I go to the items page. Then this is requested, this is generated here. So I would put that here as a child. And finally, I want to go to the add to cart. So add to cart is now done here. So this is how you generate a script. Once this is done, then you stop the server. As usual, you go to your test plan, add a thread group, right? And copy all these controllers to your thread group. So this will make your script look readable. This makes the script readable. Everybody can understand what we are doing. It. If it is simple list of requests, people cannot even understand what is happening there. But once you make a thread group with controllers, then people can, okay, this guy is going to the JMeter landing page, then he's going to the categories page, then he's going to the products page, an items page, and finally to the add to cart page. This is
just a quick
concept of simple controllers.
Yeah, a few people have asked very similar questions. Is JMeter capable of doing load, stress, including endurance testing? Yes, because you can change data, you can change users. And then someone is asking, is it only for Java application? It is for web-based applications, FTP applications, SOAP applications. It can be backend .NET, backend Java, or PHP, but it needs to go through these protocols, HTTP or LDAP or FTP or SOAP. So typically backend can be anything, still it can do that, right? And the use of controllers is again to group, make it readable, make it maintainable, right? So this is typically a tool that can be helpful as a quick load testing tool, even for the developer also handy. You can integrate JMeter with Eclipse stuff, but we are not covering those portions here because you can still do coding in JMeter by writing Java routines, but that is a separate area that we need to look into, not in this webinar. Okay, Kaushik, go ahead.
Okay, now once you have written the script, we have a process of, you can add an assertion group, you can add a listener, and you can add comparison evaluator, and you can actually do a assertion. You can actually verify if the scripts are running correctly. But sometimes we might have to add some assertions to our script. Something like, I want to make sure if I have correctly landed on to the categories page. Now if you look at this site, I mean, I have to remove the proxy because I've stopped the server, so I need to do this now. So here, what I do is when I go to the main menu, so when I land up to this page, that is JPEG store. Then from there, if you just go to enter the store, I see this particular page. So I want to verify if this page is properly loaded. So one of the verification, one of the assertion, you call it as assertion or verification, is that we will see, let's say I can see this text fish, or I would say I can see this text sign in. So what I can do is I can add an assertion to my script. I can add an assertion to my script which will validate if this particular text is there or not. Or maybe I can take this one, salt water, fresh water. So if the categories page is correctly loaded, then this text would have appeared. So what I can do is I can add this as an assertion now. So what I do is onto the JPEG store, onto this landing page, what I do is I add an assertion, okay? And this is going to be a HTML assertion because we are doing with HTML pages, so it's going to be a HTML assertion.
This is very similar to, for example, if you are reserving a ticket in an online ticketing system, it will say your PNR number blah 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 is successfully booked. Please take a printout, something like that. If that message comes, you treat that as a success criteria. This is almost like a verification point or checkpoint in a functionality testing tool. So usually we verify the text. That verification is called assertions here in JMeter. Go ahead. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so once you click on the HTML assertion, then once you click on the HTML assertion, oh, I'm sorry, I think I made a wrong thing here. Right click, add assertions, response assertion, right? We have to validate if the response is coming correctly. We have to validate if the response is coming correctly. It's not HTML assertion, sorry. We are not validating the complete page. We are only validating the response. So I'm going to click on response assertion, and here it would open up a window, and then I can say add what text you are looking for. I'm looking for this text, salt water, fresh water. So now this is how you add an assertion, right? So the way in which you do it is you right click on the URL on whatever URL. So now on the categories page I am looking for the text. So I right click on that URL, add assertion, then I make a response assertion, then I click on add, then I want to verify if this text is present, salt water, fresh water. So once I do this, I save this, and using the comparison assertion visualizer, I start it. So now the assertion has passed. So you could see that everything is coming as passed. Now let me make it fail. Okay, let's say I expect text like Kaushik to be present. I mean, it won't be present anyway. So here it would say, I mean, it would actually fail now. Now the assertion, if you look at the assertion visualizer, I am adding it again because it will confuse with the previous results. So just to make sure that you see the results in a clear way, I have deleted it. See now, what I do is, now I'm looking for a response called Kaushik, which is not there. So here, in this case, it would actually fail. So say run, start. Now you could see that this link in red color, that this has failed. That this index.html is failed because the text Kaushik was not present, and so the assertion has failed. Then if I give this text, then it would pass because that text was present in that page and the assertion would have passed there. Clear?
Can you please raise your hands? Yeah, because when Kaushik
Okay.
I asked, only when you raise your hands we know that you are clear. Anyway, we cannot be doing it again and again because we are recording this webinar, so we have a short in terms of the time frame. So that is why we are going a little bit in medium pace rather than very slow. We try to repeat, at the same time we do topics to cover for the day. So if you look at this, in the previous run we ran without containers or controllers. Now we did with controllers in recording. Then we added assertion, we made assertion to pass as well as fail. Now what we are going to do is, now only we are going to actually start the load testing. Now your script is ready. When the script is ready, now only we are going to say, okay, get me the run for 100 users. We are going to see that.
Okay.
Let us do
here,
that.
I'm going to specify the number of users. Let's say, considering that we are on a webinar and I don't want to crash the system, I'm going with 50 users. Okay. So I'm going with 50 users, and then I'm not going to do any ramp up. All the users will start firing at the same time. So I give the ramp up period as 0 seconds. The ramp up means if I want the users to gradually increase, that is one user, after 1 second another user. If I want to gradually increase, I would specify that period. But I don't want to do a ramp up. I want to do a constant load. 50 users start firing at the same time. So again, I also want to give a loop count where I say how many times this should run. So I would say some 20 times in order to make sure that it runs for some time, right? And once we have specified that, now we can start running it. But the problem with JMeter is that unless until you specify the report, it does not capture it. It will simply run, but you will not be able to see any report. So if you want to see a report, then you have to first specify the report, then run. Okay. JMeter, in all other tools, if you say you simply run it, at the end report automatically comes up. With JMeter, you have to specify what report you want, then you start running it, based upon that only the report is generated. So the report is not generated unless until you specify it earlier itself. So now I don't want this assertion now. I want to add a report, add a listener. I think we can go with view results in table, Nagarajan?
Yeah, that should be fine. Yeah.
That should be fine, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going with view results in table, right? So here I start executing now, okay? I just say start. Now it starts collecting the reports, right? So, but then the data that comes here is definitely raw data, but we have to do our own analytics to find out if the scripts are running correctly or not. Now if you see on top of it, it has finished execution. Oh, so quick. I would say 100 loops, because this is on a local machine, so it would run faster.
Or probably what you can do, Kaushik, you can ramp up now also, because if you ramp up now, it will run say every 10 seconds.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Every 10 seconds, every 5 seconds if I ramp up, and then if I say start, run, you could see that, see now there are only 12 users, 28 users, so users are gradually increasing. Now there are 50 users running.
No, the screen is yet
All
to refresh
50 users
actually.
are running now.
The screen is yet to refresh.
Oh, okay. Has it refreshed now?
Yeah, how it is doing.
Can people see that 50 out of 50?
Yeah.
On top corner. So that means now these many users are running the test. So the test is happening. Now you could see that, if you can see that JPet store homepage is taking 23 milliseconds. Right? So again, this is working on a local machine. So you could not, you can't expect a high time. You could only, because we are running it, I'm running, server is in my next machine. Okay, the next machine is server. So you definitely won't see a huge response time or response time peaks. But then it will automatically generate the reports. Now you could see that 0 out of 50, which means that the run is over. Okay, whatever run we have done, and that run is over. So then you stop it. Now you take this data, put it in an Excel sheet, and then start doing your analytics or analysis on this. Hope this is clear to all.
Yeah. Just to give a brief introduction about, there are a few questions that I think they may be coming from corporate world. They have asked, can SoftSmith people who sponsor this OpenMentor help us in terms of load testing? Yes, if you need training programs, or if you need consulting, or if you need actual execution itself by our team, we provide a lot of load testing, consulting, as well as and performance engineering. We are certified partners to a tool called NeoLoad, which is a commercial tool, which will look pretty much like JMeter, but it is the reports and the scripting are pretty simple, so that we can do more scripting and more testing within a less span of time. So we can do either on NeoLoad or JMeter. So in case if you are from corporate world and if you require performance testing and performance engineering services, you can contact us. Anyway, you know the contact of OpenMentor and SoftSmith, so you can definitely approach us. Now what we'll do, we show is when the run is going on, okay, when the run is going on, we will try to actually monitor, just to quickly show through the task manager itself how the CPU goes up and down. Okay, we will not go to the perf now. We will open the task manager. We will do the run once again. We will increase the number of users to maybe 100 or say something like that, so that you can visibly see that the CPU is going up when the users are getting fired. Okay, so we open task manager, we start the run, you will see the CPU and memory slowly getting consumed. Let us do that.
Okay, just a minute, let me just get ready. Okay, so Go to the CPU usage. Now it is 30% as such, 33%. So now I start the execution. I start the execution now. Say run and start. Now you could see that now it has gone to 42 and 50, right? So it started at 33 and then now it's speaking up. At some point of the time you could see more number of users connect. I mean, you could see that CPU is going up and down, which was at 30% in the beginning. Now you could see that it goes to 40% on an average.
Right. Now what you see here is initially the CPU went up, then the CPU gradually stabilized, and then once the run finishes, probably we have given 300. How many seconds we have given? Maybe if it is over, then CPU will come back to normal. So the CPU was initially high, then stabilized. Once the users exit the system, then the CPU will come back to normal.
Maybe I would manually stop the run.
Yeah, please.
Run, say stop. So now I have stopped it. I think still there are some users inside the system. So once they come out of it, now we could see that the CPU usage is dropping down. Not drastically, but slowly or otherwise. You could see that it has dropped down to some level. So it was crossing 40s, and now you could see that it has come back to less than 35 at some time.